Okay, let's briefly talk about weldments a little bit here. So basically, I have this yellow frame, and I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the weldment technology in SolidWorks, but you know, I've been using SolidWorks for about 10 years now, and saw the inception of the modern weldment technology created into the SolidWorks product years ago. I don't even remember the year, but that's not important. But in the last 3 to 5 releases of SolidWorks, you've really seen this functionality come a long ways, and I think it's really good for what most machine designers want to use it for. So, in this case here, maybe just to show you, let's say I was going to go and edit this weldment part from within the assembly, and let's just add a couple members. Our gearbox is kind of floating out in space here, so let's just drag a couple lines out here. And I'm purposely not trimming these lines back, making one longer, one shorter on purpose, just to show you this to you. Let's say I exit that sketch, and I'm going to go to my weldment tools, structural member, okay? And I have access to a number of different, structural profile shape libraries, and I'll explain more about these here in just a second. So let's say we're going to do ISO, rectangular tube. What size do we want here? Notice here I have rectangular tube, tons and tons of sizes here, maybe 60 by 40 by 5. And basically it's kind of like adult erector sets. I tell people, you just start picking your sketch lines, and it's going to basically map a swept extrusion to your sketch line. We have the ability to do in this command. Again, I'm not going to, we don't have time to go through every little nitpicky option in weldments today, but basically I can relocate the profile based on that sketch line. So let's say I want to line it up similar to that. Maybe select my other line at the same time. Maybe we'll hit OK here. And obviously I got one that's too long, one that's way short. And what I can do with the weldment tools is trim and extend. Because basically what we're doing is initiating a multiple body part environment. So I can say I want to trim this guy and this guy, and trim them up to this body and this body. And let's maybe allow extension, and maybe we want to cope those out as well. And we can kind of come in here. Let's get rid of this guy out on the end. Hit OK. And basically I just extended or trimmed my two weldment members accordingly here. Just to show you here what it did, even by coping there, is if I hide that body, is it can even trim back and cope members accordingly. So, it's some pretty powerful stuff that we can do. It's a very simple weldment, I would call it here in this case. But basically, if I open this up in its own window real quick, so you get a better understanding of weldments, basically we're basing this on some sort of sketch. If I go and edit the sketch, basically this initiated is, in this case it's a 3D sketch, but it doesn't need to be. If you're not comfortable 3D sketching in SolidWorks, that's okay. This could be basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2D sketches. It doesn't matter. So you can combine 2D and 3D or 2D sketches. But basically this is your frame that you're creating in SolidWorks. And you're mapping these structural members to the framework. I think if I did. Here we go. So here's basically that same part, just with the sketch, to the point of just the sketch. So you're basically using the structural member tool, picking what you want to use here. In this case, maybe just to do something different, just to show you. Maybe it's ANSI inch, and man, I got so many options here. I can't even find what I want. L angle, so on and so forth, right? Pick a size, whatever. We're not going to do this for real, but you get the idea. You can combo different groups together, so I can start saying, let's group these guys together. And this one, it's backwards, no big deal, so I can flip it around just by adjusting an angle and such. But I can hit OK. Go to a different type of a member, so on and so forth. Okay? You know, square tube, whatever. Too many sizes. There we go. And start putting things together, right? Locate the profile a little different. Maybe it's going to be like that, so on and so forth, right? And we can start trimming these things back. Here I could go around the room here, you know, add different corner treatments on here if I want. Well, it to be a miter or a butt. I could add a weld gap in here, and there's so much functionality that you can do within here accordingly, okay? And obviously I have some overlap here. I had to trim that back, okay? You know, so in a nutshell, you're getting, like I said, we're getting the quickie version of weldments. But in the end, the big use of this is what weldments is doing. Why is this better? You know, or it's kind of the running debate. Do I do this as a weldment in SolidWorks or as a SolidWorks assembly? Okay. And the reason I push for weldments nowadays, and if you're asking me this 10 years ago, I'd say definitely not weldments. Still do it as an assembly. But SolidWorks keeps a running tab of the cut list. So, for instance, here I can right-click and update this guy, and it's automatically going to sort out what members are exactly the same and total them for me. So basically I'm getting a weldment bill of materials, right, a cut list. And I can right-click and look at the properties of that. So things like length, if I had done like a miter on the end or something, the angle, these are all values that are automatically calculated by SolidWorks, okay? The description is coming from the type of structural member. We can add in other information right here if I wanted accordingly. So it's pretty powerful stuff inside of SolidWorks using the weldment tools. I'm not trying to sell you stuff here. It's Jason's job, but you can't talk back right now. So, you know, we do offer a one-day weldment course either online or inbound if you need more information on that. But one thing to know too is when you install SolidWorks, to get this full library of structural shapes, you need to download that. The basic install of SolidWorks is got a library of like, I swear, like 20 things. That's it. So if you want the full library, you can access it again. Come over here to your design library. Down here at the bottom, if you've ever wondered what this SolidWorks content is, hit the plus sign here, and here's your weldment libraries that you can download. Okay? So basically you're going to download whatever library or libraries you would like. This is the full library. This is basically all I'm using here. Of structural shapes. And then you just need to go into SolidWorks again under File Locations and Weldment Profiles and add in the directory wherever you chose to save those profiles. Okay? You know, another whole aspect of weldments is you can create your own custom profiles, you know, without knowing who's on the line. But I just had a customer recently here in Michigan that does window design, and basically they're bringing in their own aluminum extrusion profiles to do window frames. So you can use weldments for things other than items that are welded as well. Got customers that use it for wood products, a number of different things. Real quick, just because weldments, I'll open up the phones. If there's a question specific to weldments, 30 seconds there to ask a question if needed.
I've got one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, once you build your weldment, can you separate the pieces to create separate drawings for those pieces, part number, for manufacturing?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. Again, you can in the weldment profile, like if let's say a 2x2 by 1/4 inch piece of angle in your organization that has a particular part number.
Oh, did it want a serial number in there? Yeah, enter that in. Sometimes
yeah, you can go ahead and put in.
I can't read it from here.
Oops, sorry, we can hear everybody there, so whoever's talking there. But yeah, you can insert extra information into the cut list properties, so like part number and things like that. You can add here. You know, as far as creating an individual detail, absolutely you can do that. Okay, I'm not going to get into it right now, but in a drawing environment, there's a little hidden view type called a relative view. And typically, people will create a relative view to do that. The other thing people might do is you can create what's called a sub-weldment inside of SolidWorks. So for instance, I could go and pick this particular structural member as an example, and I can create this into a sub-weldment, and basically that'll create a linked part file that's separate from this weldment. So it's easier to create a quick detail of that. So you just right-click on the item you want and say create a sub-weldment. So that's another way to do it. But yeah, absolutely, you can do those things. Other questions, real quick?
I've got a question about weldment drawings.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we do a weldment drawing with a relative view, there seems to be some broken line holes that come with the view. Is there a way to avoid that?
Some broken line holes, is that what you said?
Yes, from perhaps another part that might have been adjacent to it. Maybe you've never seen it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, I would maybe connect with our support group to see if that's something that's a known issue or not. I mean, it's nothing I've technically seen, but it's not like I'm doing weldment drawings every day either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where would I go to learn how to put weld beads onto a weldment structure?
Put the weld beads on there?
Yeah.
That's a newer functionality that we added last year in SolidWorks. So I mean, again, all these questions you're asking on weldments would be covered in our weldment training class specifically. You know, weld beads. I'm not going to get into it here because it could take some time to understand a little bit, but I don't know if there's what kind of documentation's in the help file though on that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But I know we do cover it in the training course. All right, let's